Hey guys, welcome back to another Flesh and Blood video. This video is proudly brought to you by the House of Cards, the official sponsor of my stream. Be sure to check out the link in the description below for all of your Flesh and Blood needs. Today's matchup breakdown is going to feature the matchup of Vigor versus Dromai. I'm really excited about this one because I know I have my opinions about the Guardian versus Illusionist matchup, and I know that a lot of people have their own opinions, so I'm really curious to see where the comments land on this video. From the Vigor point of view, one of the best things you have going for you is Miller's Grindstone. Miller's Grindstone does a great job of drawing out cards like Sink Below, Fate Foreseen, and Sand Cover because nobody wants to lose their Chromai and their Mirror Guy off the top of their deck because they let Miller's Grindstone hit. When your opponent feels the need to give you Sink Belows and Fate Foreseens and Sand Covers on your weapon, that gives you a lot of great chances to throw Red Macho Grande, Spinal Crush, Red Thunderquake at your opponent to really push through damage or take multiple cards out of their deck. The biggest advantage point that Dromai has going for her is the fact that she gets to play a 3-card combo to try and end the game. This 3-card combo is Mage Master Boots, Passing Mirage, and Ghostly Touch. Her Ghostly Touch just adds up counters all game while you're popping dragons as a Victor player, and then at the end of the game, she gets to pop Mage Master Boots, put Passing Mirage into play, and then come in with Ghostly Touch for like 17 or 18 damage, and if the Victor player's low enough, the game's just over on the spot. Thanks for stopping by, guys. I hope you enjoy the video. So, playing against Dromai, the Dromai actually picked for us to go first, which is kind of surprising. Normally they want us to go second because they want to go first, so I'm a little surprised here. They are on the Mage Master Boots and Ghostly Touch. So I think we're just going to pitch the Thunk to throw... No, we're going to pitch the Buckling Blow to throw Hammer here. And I'm just going to heave the Thunderquake. I think that's our better line here that we can take, and we're forcing some cards out of their deck this way, so... I like taking cards out of my opponent's deck anytime I can, especially on like the Mage Master Boots list. We have to be careful because like when they get to the end of the game, they're gonna try and use Mage Master Boots to throw in a Passing Mirage and then use Ghostly Touch to kill us. So we really have to watch our life and just kind of be aware of where we're at. And they honestly may decide that they don't want to block, which would be kind of interesting because like we can lose a clash. It can happen. It's not very likely, but it can happen. So we ended up getting rid of a Mirror Guy there. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Sorry, opponent. So we're going to pitch this to heave it, and then we're going to pass. So we did want to heave this so that we can make this a 1-card 10, which is really nice. But getting rid of a Mirror Guy right there off the bat is really good. I'm surprised they didn't give me 2 cards, to be honest. Like, I think that might have, I don't know. That's like an interesting decision from our opponent. So, I mean, we're just gonna give... we're just gonna give 7 here, I think is the correct play. Like, I think playing around them having a 5-card hand is good, so I'd rather just play around it if I can. We'll just block out. And like I wish we could have used more of our cards. So we have 3 surges, which means I can throw Macho Grande here. And I really want to throw the Macho Grande because it uses 2 cards. And this is also a 2-card 10, but there's no guarantee that I can throw the Macho Grande past this. So if I throw the Thunderquake, I can arsenal the Macho Grande and I'm not using my hand effectively. But if I play this way, I get to throw Macho Grande for 8 Dominate, and I get to leave a card in my arsenal that I can always throw for 10 for 2 cards. And I have to have Tunic up to be able to throw Macho Grande for 8 for 2 cards. So I'd rather hang on to it and play around it and play around it a little bit better here. Yeah, we're just gonna pop this. This is perfectly fine. It is worth noting that I'm not really interested in killing the Uvia. I'm just going to attack them, and then I'm going to arsenal the other Red Thunderquake. So we're looking at like really trying to get some value going here. I could have blocked with one of the blues, and then use Tunic and the Golden Sun to pitch the Golden Sun and the Tunic to like kind of have a pseudo another blue so that I could have thrown my Thunderquake there and use the Tunic counter. But I'm not sure if that's where I want to be or not. All right, so this is an interesting hand. I do not have a way to play the Rouse because of the Trounce, so I'm not actually able to play the Rouse, but I mean, I think I want to pitch it for second cycle. We've pitched some good poppers here, so what I can do is I can pitch the Trounce and the Rouse to hammer the Passing Mirage and pass. I think that's the best play we have here because I'd like to have a second cycle Rouse set up that way, so we're going to attack the Passing Mirage and we're going to kill... And we're going to pitch the Trounce and then the Rouse the Ancients. And we'll just set it up this way. And then if I'm able to pop with the Golden Sun here, I can. And then I can throw Thunderquake, Arsenal, the Chokeslam. If I'm forced to give 2 cards here out of my hand, that's also fine. It just puts me in a spot where I'm going to have to keep a Chokeslam and a blue, one of the Cranial Crushes here. And then I'm going to come in with Tunic for 8. So getting the value out of Tunic, which notably we have not done so far this game. So that is worth taking a point of here. So let's see here. I mean, I think we're just going to block 3. I think that I would like, I can always throw this Thunderquake later, and I think I would just rather block now. Okay. So they're going to go up to 4 and then down to 1, and then they're going to attack me, and I'm going to give a Cranial Crush here, which is fine. We're just going to pop this, stay at 40. And then we're going to use Tunic to throw our Chokeslam. So we ended up blocking more efficiently. Let's just attack Dromai. We don't really care about clearing the board or anything here. We'll continue to apply pressure to them and take cards out of their deck. And then over the course of the game, we will pop the dragons and continue to like force their hand, hopefully make their hands a little bit more awkward over the course of the game here. I'm not really interested in trying to play this like how I played Oldhim, where I'm like killing the Uvia and I am like killing Ashwings. Like that's not really where I want to be. This hand is not great. This hand is not great. I mean, I think we just... This doesn't have go again currently. So what I could do is just take 1, which I think is the correct thing to do here. Yeah, I actually think that's the correct thing to do here. Is just to take the 1. And if he wants to play a Sigil from hand to go to 35 and then force another Ashwing through, I will pop it. But if he's just going to push through like 1 point here, I'm totally okay with just taking that. And we're just going to throw the Zealous at him. I really wish that if Tunic was up right now, we would actually be able to throw the Thunderquake after this, which would be awesome, but beggars can't be choosers in these situations, so we're just going to push the damage that we can. They put a card on the bottom of the deck. Okay, so they go to the bottom. Take 1, go to 31, I assume. I'm going to refresh here just in case it's me that's falling behind. It's like typically that's what happens if you think something else is happening, then it's normally you. We'll go Trounce and Asunder here. Again, we always have a good chance of winning these clashes. And if my opponent wants to block the hammer, then like that's a total win for me. The more they block hammer, the better spot I am in over the course of the game. So we really only have 1 popper here. I mean... I think I'm just going to pop this, right? Like the Asunder, arsenaling the Asunder is not great, but... I think this is fine. Maybe I'm supposed to like say, yeah, I was like, maybe I'm supposed to force them to play the Sigil there. I don't know. I can't Arsenal the Clash of Vigor. Like that's really not the route I want to go. This is a time where it would be a very good hand to have Tectonic Plating. So, I mean, yeah, let's just attack them for 10, and we'll just pitch the Clash of Vigors here. The Asunder could be good in Arsenal, but, like, I really don't want to Arsenal it here. I think I'm just going to keep it and IP myself. It's a little unfortunate, but I think it's the cleaner way to play. So if I block with Asunder... Yeah, I want to block with Asunder here. Let's get our non-poppers out of our deck, I think, is the better way to go about this. We're going to give up the Thunderquake here. I'm going to hammer the Mirror Guy because we pretty much always have to kill the Mirror Guy, Passing Mirage, Chromai, things like that. And then I'm going to Arsenal the Command and Conquer. Now, our opponent doesn't know that I don't have like Pummels in my list right now, but so they kind of have to respect it if we do throw CNC with Pummel up. So I think I'm just going to take 3 here, to be honest. Like, I think this is okay to just take 3 and kind of see how they follow up here, because we could have a very good hand right here. I don't know that I'm supposed to block this one now. So I think I can block with the Golden Sun here. If I block with the Golden Sun, then I can pop the Chokeslam on the Ashwing, and then I can throw the Command and Conquer at them, holding up Tunic and a card in hand, which does look like Pummel. So that does look pretty good. And we're really just going to Arsenal the Zealous Belting here, but our opponent doesn't know that. So we did take a little bit of damage that turn, but I think that's okay. We're just going to attack them. And this really looks like CNC Pummel. My opponent may be in the school of thought that, like, hey, I can't play around this. Like, there's nothing I can do here. I just can't play around it, so I'm going to give you 2 cards and hope it works. They may have a sand cover. Okay, so they're just completely playing around it. Like, they're just saying no blocks. Like, you can have my arsenal here. Oh, well. And they're just not going to... They want to keep their 4-card hand. They're saying their 4-card hand is more important than their arsenal. And I'm going to be honest, I actually really like that assessment from our opponent. I think that's like a really good way to think about the game. Like, I think that's a really clean way to think about the game and like how to play it. Is that Tome of Fiendel was not worth the 4 cards you had in your hand right there. So pitch Macho Grande to the Arcane. Pop the Ashwing with Command and Conquer. And then we're going to go 5-go again into Hammer here. Okay, they're trying to set up late game Nourishing Emptinesses, which I really like. I actually think that's a really good play from our opponent. Them setting up like late game grindy like Nourishing Emptiness, like when like we're out of equipment and like I've given some equipment block, I think is a really good play from our opponent. They got Invoke, Mirror Guy, Nourishing Emptiness, and Mirror Guy. So they have Mirror Guy, and Nourishing here. So that's pretty interesting. They're wanting to shuffle back in the they're wanting to shuffle back in the Nourishings there, which is really interesting. Not really seen anybody go that route before, to be honest. So I'm kind of intrigued to see how the long game plays out. Knowing that they are taking that style strategy, I'm going to assume that there's at least one more Remembrance in their deck. Like the way that they have their list set up is probably like to play this like big dragon, long, grindier game here. They've played like Billowing Mirage so far. So I don't think that they're on like Rabbles or anything like that. Rabble Snatches, like they may be on Blaze Headlongs. I'm not sure. It's hard to say. We're just going to throw the hammer at them here. Like, again, I want them to block the hammer when I throw it at them. And again, we get rid of a burn them all like that, which is awesome. Like, I love to see stuff like that. I do not love to see hands like this. So they name Go again here. So we're just going to give the Chokeslam. We already pitched a red Macho Grande, and there's one more on our list we haven't seen. So honestly, we might just take 2 here. Might just take 2. And then they play the Dust. I honestly think that's a really big win for us. I could throw the Command and Conquer and then Arsenal the Spinal Crush, which I kind of like. Since they don't have anything that like I really want to kill or anything. And I think throwing Command and Conquer at them is better than throwing Command and Conquer at the Uvia here, personally. I'd be curious to know how you guys feel about that in the comments down below, because I know that like that's not a very popular opinion. Like my opinion on that is not a very popular opinion right there. So let's pitch Spinal. Let's pop with a Spinal. And then we're going to hammer the Caloria here. Killing the Caloria is pretty much always correct. Because if they have this with a Dromai on the dust when we have a really bad hand, or if they throw it on a Miragai, we're pretty much forced to give them 2 cards, and I don't like doing that. So we really like Caloria, Dromai, and Miragai are the ones that we have to keep off the board. Everything else is kind of like however the game is looking from that point in time. So I would like to pop with a Thunderquake here, take the 1 Arcane, and then throw the Spinal Crush at my opponent, and then Arsenal the Rouse. Like, I don't know that that's worth taking this damage here. Like, we have to take 5 to be able to do that. So we'd be taking 6 and going to 28 to throw 9 at our opponent. I could block 3. No, I want to have another way to do it. I mean, technically, I could block 3, take 2, go to 32, pop the Thunderquake on whatever they throw at me, go to 31, and then I could throw the Spinal with the Rouse and the Macho. But I think I would rather get the Rouse in my arsenal here. So I think we're going to have to take a little bit of damage to set this up, knowing that, again, we will have to take a little bit more damage on the turn when we actually decide to play our Rouse the Ancients, which hopefully will be next turn. But there's still 2 Trounces in our deck we haven't seen. So we have to be a little careful with our life total and the whole Mage Master Boots, like Ghostly Touch and like Nourishing Emptiness at the end of the game. We have to really watch those style things. Yep. So we're going to take the 1 here, go to 28. I'm going to give the Thunderquake to pop this. They're going to play Sigil to go to 21, which is fine. Like, our opponent's like playing very methodically here, playing the long game. Like, I really respect the way our opponent is playing this game. I'm doing my best to, like, you know, play the game in the correct way here and like show respect for my opponent's game plan. We're now at a point in time where after this turn, we're probably going to be up somewhere between 7 to 10 points. And we're also at a point where we're going up to 37 cards, and then we're going to go down to 33. So we're going to have exactly the same number of cards in our hands and in our deck to our name at this point. So like, it's going to be like, that means that, like, considering they ran more cards into us, we are making up the ground on them. So this hand's not great for what we want. To be honest, like, this hand is not the best thing in the world, although our opponent just passed. So we're going to use that. So pitch Rouse to play Rouse, revealing Disable and Thunk. I mean, we can have a really good turn here. We can go 7-go again at them, revealing Thunk and Disable. That's 13. And then we get to pitch the Disable to throw Zealous, and then pitch the Grindstone, or pitch the Thunk to finish off the hammer there. So we get to have an insanely strong turn here. Like, we get to push 12 points of damage, and we get to kill their Passing Mirage, which is actually insane. Like, the fact, like, our turn just lined up really well on their turn where they decided to play the Passing Mirage. And it looks like they're trying to keep their hand. Like, they found something that they really like. So we're going to hope that 22 points is enough to keep, like, an advantage here. We do have 3 poppers, which is good. Oh, and we get Tome to draw a card? Okay, cool. Let's go. So they're going to play Tome, and then we're going to use Balance of Justice here to actually draw a card, which is great. And then, I mean, if worst comes to worst, our hand is probably just looking like pitch Clash of Vigor to, like... I was like, we're just going to pitch the Clash of Vigor to play the Grindstone here. I was curious to know if our opponent was playing Tome. I like that they are, but I was curious to know if they were. So they played Dromai on that dust, and they're attacking us. So we're going to draw a card. I think we're going to need every single card we can get this turn. There's no world, I don't think, like, there might be. I'm going to take the Arcane. Whoa. Okay, so they're starting over their turn again one more time here. I don't think they realized that they didn't play it on the dust of the Chrome Caverns there. Yeah, okay, so this is what they wanted to do. So again, we're going to draw a card. They're apologizing here, like no problem, opponent. Like, I appreciate you apologizing. Like, I apologize when I take back a lot of things. I do think it is the classy thing to do. So we're gonna take the Arcane. I'm gonna give the Clash of Vigor here because it doesn't pop. We're not gonna clash because this is an ally. For anybody who watches this video and isn't aware of that, when you block with a clash card against a dragon, it's considered an ally and not an actual attack attacking you, so you do not clash. I think we're looking to block with, like, we're going to see what happens here. Okay. So we're just going to give up the Chokeslam here, right? Like, we give up the Chokeslam, and then they throw the Nourishing Emptiness at us. So, knowing that they still have 3 Nourishings in their deck, like, I think we have to take a moment to consider, do I want to give up my equipment here, or am I okay just going to 24 and giving them a big hand? Like, I think this is okay. I think I can just take 3 here. We can block with the Macho, because we have a red Macho in our deck. Like, we can just block for 3 here. I think we can just take 3. I actually think this is okay. I would, if they did not have the Dromai on board, like if this dragon was not on the board, and like they had the 2 Ashwings, the Uvi, and the Enderai, I would just throw the Debilitate at them. But we have to kill the Dromai. The Dromai is something that can get so far out of hand. And it's worth noting that because they don't have another Dust in play, there's no crazy way for them to like insanely punish us, like, that we can see at least. Okay, so now we're at a point where we're pitching a blue pretty much every turn to stop the arcane damage here. We've done a good job of trying to keep our life total up. Now, I have taken some damage this game at like incremental spots here. We took 3 off of the Nourishing. We took 6 off of the E-Strike turn, where I decided to like really just like take some damage there. We took 6 that turn, so I've been doing my best to try and keep up. Like what we're like, to keep our life total up so that we don't just randomly die to stuff. So this has no Phantasm, but there's 3 Arcane coming in here. So we're just going to pitch the Thunderquake. I think that's just our best play here. Having Arcane Lantern is so good into Dromai. Like, Arcane Lantern is just absolutely insane. And then I'm going to block with the Trounce because I'm not actually interested in blocking. They have no Commanding Conquerors left in their deck. They've all been banished to burn them all. So, like, I'm not worried about getting, like, blown out here by something crazy. And then, like, right here, I'm just going to block 3, and I'm just going to take 1. Them having an extra Ashwing doesn't really scare me that much. Like, it's not great for me, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying, like, it doesn't scare me that much. It is worth noting that the Dust Up does create an Ash and then make an Ashwing. You can actually just make an Ash and not make an Ashwing if you want. But I'm just going to hammer the Mirror guy here, and we're just looking to, again, just continue, like, our grindy game plan here of trying to, like, outvalue them. We've managed to give ourselves a 17-point life lead, so we have to make sure that we just don't like play bad and die to something. Now, we could draw like a 1-popper hand and get like blown out here. There are like quite a few non-poppers in my deck that I play. I've tried to set up the list to where it has the most value into these kind of decks so that I'm not just like losing value. So we have 1 Arcane coming in. So we have to decide, is the 1 Arcane worth it? Like, I want to kill the Caloria here, so I think we're just playing defense at this point. We're just going to pitch there, and then we'll give the Thunk. Like, I think this is fine. They're going to play their Remembrance. Okay, so we were up about 4 cards, I think, in total. And I wasn't completely keeping up, but now we're going to be up less. Remembrance is a +2 because you take 1 card out of your deck to add 2 back in. Yeah, we're just going to kill the Caloria here. We're just going to continue to play it safe, play methodically, kill the things we need to kill, and try to play for a longer game here. Although a longer game does, in essence, play into what Dromai wants to be doing. I would honestly love to see like a Billowing Mirage here or something that I could trounce with them on. Because if I'm able to trounce with them on, then like if I can give them a card and block with the trounce efficiently, like we can like try to throw Debilitate and then set up a Rouse in our arsenal, which would be really good. Okay, so not looking too good on the Rouse front. Okay, so we're gonna have to take some damage this turn. Actually, we're not. They don't have Burn Them All in play anymore. Could they not keep the Burn Them All again? Oh wow, that's insanely good for us. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna block with the Trounce, since like we just want to get the non-popper out of our deck, and it doesn't really matter. And then on the Ashwing, we're gonna give a Buckling Blow. And then if they throw something like that, like if they throw the Yindarai or something at us, like then like it sucks, but it's fine. It is worth noting that like one of the questions that like people ask, and not like on my stream necessarily, but just like in general that I've heard like the argument has been had back and forth a couple of times. Is it more correct to kill Miragai or Chromai? Now, I know what I'm going to do in this spot, but I would like to know in the comments down below how you guys feel about killing Miragai or Chromai here. So at this point, I'm going to kill Chromai, and I'm going to explain why. So killing Chromai is better because Chromai gives you multiple action points. This is stops Phantasm for a turn, which can be played around. Oh, Sweeping Blow when I have a Trounce is insane. Which can be played around, actually. So, like, we can actually play around, like, the Phantasm here by blocking and, like, pitching a little bit to play into it. But we cannot play around extra action points as well. So I have to kill Chromai every single time because the extra action point can make our turn a lot worse. Especially if we draw into, like, a one-popper hand. Now, I've been very fortunate this game. All of my poppers have been spread out very well so far, so I'm very happy about that, but it is something that could happen. Oh man, this could be awesome. If we're able to keep this, I can go Tear Asunder. Oh no, we can't keep 2 cards. Sag. I was going to say if we're able to keep, if we're only going to use one of our poppers here, then we can actually so we're gonna have to block with Clash of Vigor, right? No, would I rather block with the Tear Asunder? I think I'd rather block with the Tear Asunder here. So if we block with the Tear Asunder, and then we'll pop with the Disable. This does have Phantasm. Talishar does a very good job of like letting me know if it has Phantasm or not. So Passing Mirage. So this is interesting here because this card is on the board. Passing Mirage has to go before Chromai. This is like a really interesting topic here. Like, and this is also another place where like there's a lot of debate to be had that I hear throughout the community. But we have to hit the Passing Mirage here so that they cannot continue to just like throw the Ghostly Touch at me. Let's see. So there's still one more Passing Mirage left in the deck. We're going to kill the Passing Mirage and leave the Chromai, and then we're going to leave a popper in our hand. And again, we drew into a 3-popper hand, which is pretty good. So we're still able to play around things. I'm going to do anything I can to keep that Ghostly Touch from attacking me. Now, granted, like they have the if we leave the Ghostly Touch on board and we kill the Chromai, they can throw a Dragon at us with no Phantasm, and then no, I'm sorry, they can't because the Passing Mirage is your first attack. But still, they can attack us for 12, and I really don't want to be like blocking, you know, like I just don't want to be blocking like that. So do they have any more Burn Them Alls? I think they're all gone, right? We banished one, or we got one earlier. So this is 3 no Phantasm. So I'm going to assume at this point I'm going to need 2 poppers after this. I could take 3 to play it safe, but I really don't think that's the play. So let's block 3. If they play another Chromai, we just got punished for our actions there. Ho ho. Okay. Well played, opponent. Well played. All right, so we're gonna have to take 3 this time around. This is one we're gonna have to take 3 on, and we're gonna have to pop some of their board here. All right, so we're gonna give the Macho Grande here because like I like to pitch it for second cycle so that I can try to keep it, but so this isn't gonna have go again. So I'm just gonna block with the Cranial Crush. is the better play here. And then we're going to kill the Dromai with the dust under it. We do have to be careful. I mean, this is getting out of hand a little bit here. Like, our opponent is starting to do some nonsense here. So we're going to hit... Hang on one second. So I told my opponent that the game, like the Talishar right here, is not showing me which dust is under which Dromai, and I want to make sure we're getting the correct one. And my opponent said sounds good, so like they're being super chill about it. Like, I appreciate them being nice about it. We picked the one on the right, and that was correct. All right, appreciate my opponent being like super chill about that. Not everybody is always super nice about stuff like that, so I do appreciate my opponent being cool about that. Some people are weird about that kind of stuff, but like Talishar doesn't always have everything indicated properly, so I do like to make sure that we do things correctly. Our opponent has done a really good job of playing the long game with us and like trying to set up boards over the course of the long game here. I don't think there's another Remembrance. I think they only play 2. I know a lot of people are only on 2. A lot of people are also only on 2 Dust from the Chrome Caverns. So considering where we're at in the game, once we get through the Dromai and the Mirror Guy here that we have set up on board, we should be pretty good here. Like, we just have to make sure we're not going to die to Nourishing at the end of the game at this point. Like, so that's really what we're looking to do here. I've had this red Debilitate in my arsenal for like the better part of 6 turns now. Okay, this is a turn where I'm going to 100% give up the Caloria and the Gauntlet here we're going to give up Macho Grande and the Gauntlet here to stop this. So that's interesting. So, I mean, it really depends on what they have in hand. I'm wondering if this is okay to take 3. I mean, they're making it to where I can kill the Caloria here. But we're not. We're just going to kill the Dromai. Let's just take 3 and see what they do. We might be wasting a card here at this point in time, but like our life total is a resource. So this has Phantasm. So we're going to give the Macho Grande here and pop this, which is what we want to do. Man, they've amassed a really good board here. Like, they have set up a really good board. We're going to kill the Disable. We're gonna pop with the Disable, I mean, is what I was trying to say. And then I'm going to swing the hammer at Dromai, which is more important than anything else we have that they have on the board. We're gonna kill the Dromai, which I'm pretty sure is the last one. I haven't looked, but I think that's the last one. So we just have to get through everything they have here. All right, so yeah, there's all 3 Dromais, which means technically if they are in another Remembrance, they could shuffle them in. How many Mirror Guys is that? They have 2 Mirror Guys on board. And do they have one over here that they got rid of? Or is there one more left in their deck? Looks like there's one more left in the deck. So I don't think we have that many non-poppers left in our deck. Like, our deck is like mostly poppers, I think, at this point. The other good news is that pretty much from here we can like block efficiently and then just continue to attack our opponent, like kill the dragons and like kill everything else as we need to. So, I mean, I could just let them have the gold. I could take 1 and let them have the gold. Like, they have to take the gold. They can't draw a card. Like, does that even matter for me? They could use 2 resources to draw an extra card. I don't know. I think like we'll just play it safe and block here. And then we have 2 poppers in hand. We can give the Chokeslam and the Debilitate here. If they throw a Nourishing at us, I am going to like take 3. I am going to block with one of my blues and then take 3. All right, well, that's your last Mirror Guy. So considering there are 3 Mirror Guys on board, I'm actually going to kill the Caloria here. Activate Furnace to gain some resources. So we're gonna have to take some damage off of this. I don't know what just happened. I think my opponent just undid like everything they did that turn, which is fine. Like we're still gonna block the same way on the Caloria. I'm not gonna play any differently here. Yeah, so that's the thing is like they have a lot of like sync belows and stuff like that left in their deck, which is kind of nice. So we're gonna give the Debilitate and the Gauntlet here. And they're gonna use the Mage Master Boots here, which means we're gonna have to kill the Passing Mirage because it is the last one. Like there's not any more copies of Passing Mirage in the deck. They activate Furnace. Okay, so they're gonna throw this at me. They have a Dust Up in there. I mean, they're not going to gain any action points here. So what we can actually do this turn is we can block 6 here, stay at 16. Let's see, they're going to go up to 12 and down to 8. If we block 2 and put a card back in, we're going to go to 15 and then to 11. But we can't put 2 cards into our deck. I think we need to kill the Caloria here. Let me tell our opponent that we're thinking here. There's one Caloria over there. Is there another Caloria over here? Okay, so they don't have any more Calorias. So, like, the Mirror Guy sucks, and I hate not being able to pop things. But, like, they have 3 Mirror Guys in play. We're just going to have to play the game until we get them all out of their deck. I want to keep the Popper in my hand. We're just going to take 3. Like, they have... It's probably correct to block 6 because of the Ghostly Touch and Mage Master Boots play. Like, that's probably correct to not go to 13 because they are at a spot where this can get out of hand. Like, they're probably just going to try and end the game with this. Let's kill the Caloria. Like, we might have lost this game. Like, this game has been very good and our opponents played it very well, but I'm curious to know that we might have lost this game. If we can, we need to have a turn where we can... Man... Like, I don't even know if there's a world where we can't play Rouse without killing something. We have to pop something to even be able to play the Rouse. So, I mean, the good news is that if this is like for 20, which is basically like over the next 4 turns, like we'll pop some stuff. But if this is going to be for 20, like then it's really not that bad. We're just going to have to stay above 2. I mean, we could try to do some crazy shenanigans where we attack them for 8 and just commit to the fact that there's 3 Mirror Guys in play. Is that the play? Is attacking them for 8 correct here? Like, is there ever a world where that's correct? Like, we attack them for 8 and then Arsenal the Rouse and then try to pitch something, like pop something and then attack them next turn? Is there any world where that's correct? I'll tell my opponent I'm thinking here because I genuinely don't know. This is like a really tricky decision because it's like, I am worried about losing to this. I think we're just supposed to kill one of the Mirror Guys here. So I think we can take the 1 Arcane here. Now we're gonna have to pitch the Arcane. We're gonna have to give a card. And then we're gonna have to pop something. Okay. So we pop something. We kill the Mirror Guy. They are at 18 counters on this, which means we are, at this point, required to block with 2 cards. Are they going to be able to win because they can fatigue us here? This has been a really good game. Our opponent has played this very well. Like, very well. Part of me wonders if I was supposed to have some, like, maybe some blind aggression at an earlier point in the game. And we know that they have the Passing Mirage in their arsenal. Like, it has to be... They played the Passing Mirage earlier, like, which I know that, like, we probably wouldn't have done in a real setting. Like, they probably wouldn't have done that. But, like, that is information that we were given. And, like, we have some poppers in our deck. So as long as we're able to, like, keep poppers and then, like, attack them with things, like, I think that's okay for us. Okay. So hear me out here. Is there any world where we are supposed to give them civic steps and go, or actually, are we just supposed to go to 9 here and then we throw Rouse at them and then throw Debilitate at them? I mean, it's a 15-point turn. I'm going to live on the edge a little bit here. I don't know if this is correct. So we're going to attack our opponent here. We're going to pitch Clash of Vigor, and we're going to reveal Debilitate and Thunderquake here. I don't like being at 9, but I do like playing offense when they're when they're so low cards in their deck. Are they going to take 3 here? And then, I mean, we just pitch 2 cards and play the Debilitate? Or actually, is it more correct here after we did that to... I mean, we could kill the Mirror guy, but... I really don't know what's correct there. This is, like, such an interesting decision point in the game. Okay. So we did put them on the back foot a little bit here and make their hands a little bit awkward. So this does not have Phantasm. So we're going to pitch the Macho Grande to block the Arcane to stay at 9. We're going to block with Clash of Vigor. I don't think they have any sigils left. Like, I think that's like their whole turn. If we crack gold into a blue, which there should only be blues left in our deck, we can throw the Spinal at them. I can alternatively just hammer the Mirror guy here. I don't know if playing this way is correct at this point in the game. Like, I think I need to take cards out of their hand so that they have less opportunity to be able to throw the... to give me the Mage Master Boots and the Passing Mirage. Because they have to give me 2 cards here. Or they have to give me a card and Flamescale Furnace. I don't know. This has been such an interesting game. Like I can feel like my heart racing during this game. Like, this has been really crazy. This has also been almost a 45-minute match. My opponent said that's GG, I guess. I asked if they have me. Oh, they said no, they said that I have them. Not enough cards to play an attack. So my opponent's going to block 3. And then they're going to give me the Sink Below and take 2. All right, so they said that they think this one's over because I've got them here, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. So they play Yindarai. So now at this point in time, we have the Rouse and another non-popper in our deck. So I'm going to pitch the Thunderquake. We're going to block with the Rouse. And then I'm going to pop with the Disable. I don't know what happened there. I thought I clicked on the Disable, but I guess not. So now we're going to hammer the Mirror Guy. I also don't know if they have enough cards for Go Again here. Like, I mean, like, they can pitch and play, like, one card here at this point. Do they not? This costs 3 resources, right? Yeah, so they can't pitch, they can't play the Passing Mirage and do that? Wow. What a crazy long game that I felt like we were winning, then I was worried we were going to lose, and we ended up coming out on the winning side because we played more aggressive at the end when it seemed like we had to. So the beginning of this game went about like most Dromai versus Victor matches go. I was throwing big attacks. My opponent was trying to establish some board presence while pressuring me in the same way, but I was really just trying to create a big life lead separation at the beginning of the game so that when they did try to have their flip turn, hopefully I have enough life to be able to like still win the game from there. There was one turn when I was at 28 and my opponent was at 18 and they left me with a 5-card hand. I pitched a Rouse to play a Rouse attacking them for 7. I then threw a Zealous Belting at them for 5 and they took it and went to 6, and then I hammered their Passing Mirage. Now, our opponent gave us a 22-point life lead, but I think my opponent realized that they had to have their flip turn or they weren't going to get to have one. Now, good on my opponent for recognizing that that was their turn and they needed to go all in for it. When I first played this game, I actually thought their play pattern was a mistake by not blocking more and trying to play a little bit more conservatively, but my opponent realized that they had to have a flip turn and that they had tried to set up and that this was their hand. Now, following my opponent's flip turn, they actually played the game in a very clean way. They kept applying pressure, putting dragons on the board that I quote unquote had to deal with, or I was just going to get put in a worse spot. So my opponent really did a good job at trying to flip the game and giving themselves an opportunity to win the game. Now, towards the last few turns of the game there was a turn when I pitched a card to block some Arcane, and then I blocked their Asvali since it didn't have Go Again, and we knew there were no Sigil of Solaces left in their deck. Now, at this point, I kept a blue and a Spinal Crush, my Tunic was on 3, and I had a gold. I went for the play of crack the gold, leave one floating, draw a card. If I draw into a blue, I know I'm okay. At this point, I knew every single card in my deck was blues. I only had the one red card, and it was a Spinal Crush in my hand, which gave me the blue I needed to be able to throw Spinal Crush, which actually let me win the game. The interesting thing about this line to me is that there was probably an argument to just take the one Arcane, go to 1, and then actually block with the Clash of Vigor on the Asvali. So now I'm at 8 and my opponent's at 5, and then I can guarantee I can throw my Spinal Crush this way just in case I had miscounted, just in case there was some error that I made there. At this point in time, I have guaranteed Spinal Crush, which gives me the game, and then I'm still only at 8, which I think is okay. The fear that I had at that point in the game was the fact that my opponent had Mage Master Boots and they had Ghostly Touch on like 18 or 19 counters, which is terrifying to look at. Overall, I think this was a really good game and my opponent played well, and I think I played well too. I think there were definitely some points that I could improve on, such as the Spinal Crush turn that we just talked about, but this was a really clean match, and I think a pretty good representation of what the Victor versus Dromai match looks like. Okay, so we're playing against Dromai. We're going first here. Our opponent's on 66 cards, and they're also running the Ghostly Touch and Mage Master Boots, which I think is the correct play into me. I can throw the Spinal Crush by pitching everything here and just not Arsenal, which I honestly think is fine. Like, we'll throw the Spinal Crush here, take 3 cards out of our opponent's deck, or let them take some damage here. Either way, I'm okay with that. I am going to go Macho Grande, Trounce, and then Asunder, because when my hands come back around, I want to be able to make sure that I'm pitching to try and win the Trounce if it actually comes up. I am intrigued by my opponent giving me Furnace on turn 0 here. Be curious to ask them about this after the game if they get a moment here. It's really interesting to me. I don't know, like giving up like some like their only like 2 of their only 3 equipment to block with on turn 0 is really interesting. Tome of the Imperial Flame. Okay. They must have had a tome in their hand. I'm curious if they had 2 no blocks in their hand, and this was the only way that they could play around it. It's very possible that that's the case. So this has Phantasm. So I could pop this with a Macho Grande. So if we pop this with a Macho Grande, I can just throw the Debilitate. I don't really want to block, but if I had 2 Clash of Vigors here, I would just block, but I think we're just going to pop this, right? Yeah, I think just popping this here, since it has Phantasm, is the correct play. I think that's the better play here. We just want to keep our life total up, and they're just going to stay at 57 cards. And then, I mean, I don't really care about killing the Enderai, to be honest. Like, killing the Enderai isn't really at the top of my priority list. If that was an Uvia, I would kill it here. But I'm definitely more interested in killing, I'm not really interested in killing the Enderai here. Okay. So, I mean, we can just end the turn here by blocking with this, and then I can go Zealous Belting at them and then hammer the Caloria. I mean, like, it's not any damage here, but I still want to end their turn. So, Zealous Belting at our opponent, pitching the Golden Sun, which gives us 5 go again here. And then we are going to hammer the Caloria. Caloria is a card that with Passing Mirage or with a Mirror Guy can get out of hand pretty quickly, so I am interested in blocking that way. This would be a cool hand if we were able to like pop and then like throw Command and Conquer and like threaten Pummel here. That would be awesome, but I don't run Pummels in this matchup specifically. So that is a question that I've been debating. Like, should Pummel be in the deck for this matchup here? Like, I genuinely don't know if it should. One of those more serious questions here. So I'm going to throw Command and Conquer at them, and I'm just going to like hold. I have the Tunic up and I have a card in hand, which does represent the fact that I do have the ability to play Pummel. So it is something that I think my opponent does have to consider here. They're just, I mean, like, I think even if I had a Pummel here, I wouldn't play it, because if they just want to take 6, I'm okay with that. I think that's an okay turn cycle for me. There might also be a world here where I'm blocking with a Thunderquake, and then we're just going to throw the Chokeslam at our opponent. Since they're just going to attack me here, I'm just going to give the Thunderquake, and then we'll just throw the Chokeslam at our opponent. I think that's the best thing we could be doing. Our opponent plays a Sigil, and then activates Furnace. So we're just going to, again, I don't need to kill anything on the board. Like, we don't need to keep anything clear. Like, Asvali can be obnoxious. Like, some of these cards on their board can like be a problem, but at the same time, I think we're in a better spot to just play the way we are right now. So taking 3, like, if I block 3 here with the Chokeslam, which I think is fine. All of their cards like kind of draw out a popper this way, and then the Ashwing will give a card here. Like, this is perfectly fine. And this has been sitting in our arsenal for a couple of turns, so now they're more likely to think that we actually have the Pummel this time around, considering we still have Tunic up, or they're just going to no respect it this time. Okay, interesting. I'm going to Arsenal the Rouse because it's a really good go again card. I do have the capability here to, if I'm able to pop with the Thunk, I can actually pitch the Rouse to play Rouse, reveal these 2, and then I can use Tunic to throw 7 more if I need to. So, I don't know, kind of an interesting decision point. After the Remembrance, we are down 4 cards, which I don't, like, not really a big deal here. So they picked draw a card here. Okay, that's interesting. So I think I'm just going to block 3, take 2, and then go with the line of play that I talked about here. I don't think there's like a Razor waiting in the wings or anything. It's like they're probably just looking to generate some Ash. And we're going to apply good pressure here to our opponent. And then I do think I'm just going to throw the Golden Sun at them. Like, one of the best ways to win this matchup is to just make your opponent block and block and block. And then there has to be a turning point when your opponent tries to swing the game back in their favor. Like, that's kind of how this matchup has to go. There's not really a lot of other ways that like you can play it from the Guardian point of view, in my opinion. I think you have to just play offense the best that you can, like, and just force your opponent to block some or take damage. And when they go for their big flip turn, hope that you have enough life to be able to still clear the board and keep up with what you're trying to do. Really like for them to have an attack here, honestly. Okay. We don't have go again, which is unfortunate here, but what we can do is pitch Trounce and Asunder to kill the Dromai, and then we can arsenal the... I guess we'll arsenal the Debilitate, because this is a 2-card thing, and like we're gonna have to give up some cards here. So we're definitely just going to hit the Dromai. Dromai is always more important than killing Passing Mirage, in my opinion. If it were later in the game and they had Ghostly Touch, like at like 12 or something, we would have to consider... killing the Passing Mirage, as it can be more dangerous to us throughout the course of the long game here. Okay. So this is 3 go again with no Phantasm. And so I tell you what, let's pitch a Command and Conquer here. Let's block with the Rouse here and take 1, actually. I think getting the non-popper out of my deck is better, because I just pitched 2 cards that don't pop, and I think that is a better play for us. I'm willing to take 3 and lose the Debilitate to actually kill the Passing Mirage here. Like, it's a little unfortunate, but I think this is fine. I'm not going to give up equipment in case they're on like some kind of like crazy late game nourishing plan. That is something that I have seen before, so I try to dodge getting hurt by that late game. All right. I'd like for them to have like a Billowing Mirage. Okay, this is good. Them having an E-Strike here is really good for us. I think I'm just going to take 2, and we're going to see if we win the Trounce. I was like, I'm sure we will, but you never know, so sometimes you just got to play it a little safe. So this does have Phantasm. We're going to pitch the Thunderquake. I'm going to pop with the Thunk. And they're going to pitch the Tumultai there. Okay. And then we don't really have anything we want to kill. So we're just going to use our Trounce to throw 10 overpower at our opponent here. There's not really anything that we need to kill or want to kill, so we could save the gold to potentially save counters on the hammer for later in the game, but I don't think that that's where I want to be. I think throwing 11 here is just good enough. Like we just want to like apply pressure. Because like we're kind of at the point in the game where like our cards are like now more equal, and we're forcing our opponent to like play on an axis with us. There is only 1 more tome in the deck, so it is important to note that I do need to get some block value out of Balance of Justice so that I can actually get the value out of being able to draw a card. So we're probably looking at, if they throw an attack at us here, to like use Balance of Justice. I probably should have considered using the Balance of Justice on the turn when they threw the yeah, we definitely should have used the Balance of Justice before this. Like, I think that was a mistake on my part. So they're going to take... We're going to use the Tunic here, I think, to block this. I think that's a better play. We're going to use the Tunic here to block the Arcane. We're going to block with a Chokeslam. We are going to pop this, and we're going to go ahead and draw a card, I think. I honestly think I want to draw a card. I was like, because even if we draw into another red like we did, which is pretty unfortunate, but I still think we have we can kill the Asvali here. We could attack them for 4. I think I would rather attack them for 4. Like, I'm not really, when I have Arcane Lantern, I'm not really interested in killing the Asvali because fatigue isn't really an option for them. Now, we are pitching 3 poppers, but it's not going to be a great pitch stack. That is a little unfortunate. Their Dominia came on a turn when we only had 1 blue, which is very unfortunate for us. So we're going to go Debilitate, then Chokeslam, then Macho. This hand's pretty solid. I actually really like this hand. So I can just take the Arcane. I can pop this because this does have Phantasm. They're going to play the Sigil to go to 14. And then we're going to throw Zealous Belting at our opponent. And then we're going to hammer them. Trying to apply as much pressure as I can here without putting myself in a bad spot. We haven't really seen any like major dragon players yet, which is like a little tricky because like when they have a really good setup hand, it will require some cards from us. So nobody wins there. They have the dust on top. And they know we have a Asunder in hand, which means they know we have a non-popper. So we're probably just going to use our cards here as efficiently as we can. So we've seen 1 Dromai, and that's like, as far as like major dragon players are concerned, that's really it, to be honest. Like, that's really all we've seen so far. So if I take the Arcane, maybe I'm supposed to, no, I think I'd rather block 3. So if I block 3 on the Asunder, so if I take 1, I can block 3. And then I can give 2 poppers after this, the Thunk and the Disable, and then I can kill the Dromai. That is still like, that is not ideal for us, considering that the Passing Mirage, like, this is like more of a concern now than it was a little bit earlier, but we still have to kill the Dromai at this point in time. The Dromai is still what has to die here. They already have the Passing Mirage effect off of Miragai, so killing the Dromai is always the better play here. There could be a turn where we could play this, but I don't think I want to Arsenal this here. I think I'm just okay passing. The Caloria is really good. We can use the Tunic to actually stop the Arcane. So we're going to go ahead and use the Tunic here so I don't have to pitch anything. And then, so if I can give Gauntlets and Footsteps here if I want. I don't know if that's, or I'm sorry, not Footsteps. Good God, Civic Steps. I can give Civic Steps and Gauntlets here to stop this if I want. Like, that is the obvious play, because then it would allow me to throw Go Again at the Miragai and then kill the Passing Mirage. I don't like giving them the Quicken token here, because if they have like a CNC, they can randomly punish me. But CNC on this turn also just says 6 points of damage. Like, again, I am just going to take 6 here and go to 24. I know that like my life is getting a little bit lower here, but I still think this is an okay turn from us, because we're going to pop this. We're going to throw the Zealous Belting at the Miragai. So we're going to clear this off here. And then we're going to clear the Passing Mirage. And now we still have 2 more Passing Mirages to get through, and we still have 2 more Miragais to get through. Yeah, that is very unfortunate for us, but I mean, it is what it is. There's not a lot I can do about it. I think I'm going to give the Debilitate and the Gauntlets here. Like, and unless they have another one next turn, which is very possible, it is something. Okay, so they have both of them here. How many Calorias have we seen? 2. So we're going to pop that. Now, the question is it better to kill the Miragai here, or is it better to kill the Caloria? Like, this is an interesting spot. We know that there's only one more, like, there's no more mirror guys left in their deck, and there's only one more Caloria. Caloria is really the only thing that, like, punishes us for leaving this on the board. I think we're gonna kill the mirror guy. That's what my gut is telling me to do, is just to go ahead and kill the mirror guy and like play this as a safer game, this route. But I think that now this is a terrifying hand to have. Like, this is a very scary hand here. We only have one popper, and this is like a hand where like we could just get really punished depending on what we have. If they have an attack action they're going to throw at us, that would be ideal, because that means we could trounce with them, but I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. Like, I would really, really like for them to have a... Actually, we can just give 2 cards here, right? Like, we can just give the Trounce and the Clash and save the Civic Steps for another day. Like, that's just fine. Yeah, and then we get to pop this, and then we get to kill the mirror guy. So they're going to go to 8. I think that's their last sigil. After I kill the mirror guy here, I'm going to look and see. Let's see, 1 sigil. I love that they have the promo sigils on Talishar. I'm looking to see. There's only 1 more Passing Mirage, and there's 1 sigil right there. Yeah, that's all their sigils. So there's no more life gain in the deck, but there are more D-reacts, I'm sure. Like, I'm almost 1,000% sure there's more D-reacts for them to have over the course of the long game here. They're just throwing cadaverous contraband at us. I mean, that's fine. Like, let's block. I think let's block like this. Like, I think this is the play we want to make. Right? Yeah, I think this is fine. And we win a Clash of Vigor. Like, that's fine. I don't really care. I'd rather have had one of the Trounces in my hand right there. So they're going to go up to 22 cards, then up to 24, and then down to 20. And I'm going to... Let's see, what are we doing here? I mean, I could just throw the Chokeslam at them and leave this on the board. I guess there are, what do they shuffle in? Mirror Guy, Chromai. So there's 2 Mirror Guys, and there's only 1 Chromai there. So there's 2 Mirror Guys and 2 Chromais left to deal with. So we need to make the smart play here, and we need to just go ahead and hammer the Caloria. Like, we're at that part of the game where, like, we're playing the longer, grindier game here. I'm not going to Arsenal the Chokeslam because I don't want a popper in my arsenal at this point. Not one like this. If it was a Thunderquake, I'd consider it. I think I'd put the red Thunderquake there because that would give us something to play offense with. But we're also like down 2 cards total when you count their arsenal. So also something to think about. I mean, if they're just throwing standing order at us, which like I understand, like if this is for 6, I'm going to block 6, throw the hammer at them, and then arsenal the Thunderquake. If they do this for 4, okay, so they are going to do it for 6, which I do think is a good play. We're just going to block 6. Like, I would really like to have a Trounce there, you know, or any card that I think would line up better, but I think this is fine. They're on all 3 Remembrance. Okay, so Darkodius is on the 3rd Remembrance here. This is also a very fun game for me because, like, Darkodius hangs out in my chat sometimes, and, like, he has a lot of, like, opinions that I don't necessarily disagree with, but, like, he has very strong opinions. So, like, I'm really curious to see how this game plays out. Now he is essentially going to be up 5 cards, I think, is what we're looking at here. I think we're just going to go at him here with the hammer, honestly. I could pitch the Thunderquake, but there's a decent chance I'm able to keep 2 cards at some point throughout the rest of the game and just throw the Thunderquake at my opponent here. Maybe I'm just supposed to pitch the Thunderquake with the Cranial Crush into my deck and like keep all the cards in my deck, but I think it's fine to make this play. There's going to be a hand where we have a Trounce and like a couple, like we have a hand with 2 non-poppers, which is like kind of unfortunate, but And we have played all of the Zealous. I think we pitched a Rouse early on, so I think that's okay. We're not going to heave this, unfortunately, but we are going to Arsenal it. Here is a hand with 3. Okay, so the way our hands lined up by us IPing ourselves, we put ourselves in this spot, which is very unfortunate for us. Like that 2 Chromais. We are like truly getting bailed out here by the fact that like Darkodius like did not take advantage of his turn. Now, unfortunately, because of our hand, I'm not actually able to like have a crazy good turn here. We're just gonna have to kill one of the Chromais, I think. Now he is setting up for like a major kill shot here in a turn or two. I could throw Command and Conquer at him. Like with all of our cards, he hasn't seen a Pummel yet. Like, and this was a first cycle Thunderquake we saw. So like we could just have the Pummel here. This is an interesting point here. I really wish that this was a card that allowed us to play our Rouse. Like if we were able to go Rouse into like hammer one of these, that would be awesome for us. Is there any world where I can really do anything good here? I don't think there is. Like, if I pitch the Rouse to play Thunderquake, I can't really line up anything. So, unfortunately, we're just going to have to hammer Chromai here and pitch a couple of non-poppers again, which is unfortunate. So, them only having 1 Chromai is better for us, though, for sure. And now we have 3 poppers in our hand. So, at this point in time, if I'm able to... I'm going to have to take some damage here, but I'm hoping to keep the Disable in my hand. How many CNCs have they played? Have they just played the 1 CNC? No, there's a second one there. So there's 1 more CNC in their deck. They could have it here, but we're just going to block. I think this is fine to block with the Asunder. Definitely taking the Arcane at this point in time. Like, no reason to... We are taking the Arcane. We're going to pop this. And then they have a decision to make here on what they want to do. We're going to kill the Chromai regardless here. Because they played both the Chromais in 1 turn. Like, oh, the other Remembrance they played. Yep, that makes sense. So we're going to pop this. And then now we have to make a decision on popping whatever they throw at us. Like, I have to take 3 if I'm going to here to kill the last Chromai. I'd actually have to take quite a bit more. I mean, I'm going to take the Ashwings here. Like, it's going to put me to 19 by taking the Ashwings, which does put me in a spot where I'm now, like, up against the Ghostly Touch, like, a little bit harder than I was. Like, now the Ghostly Touch is looking a little bit worse for me. But I think that this is fine. Like, I don't think I can afford to take 4 here. There was a lot more damage on the table there from our opponent. So, like, we have to take damage to try and clear the board. Our opponent has 100% came to play against Victor. Like, they have no ifs, ands, or buts here. Like, they are 1,000,000,000% prepared to play against Victor. Wonder how they're pitching for the Thamai. They have to pitch 1 more card here. They're going to pitch the Rake. We're also down cards at this point, which is kind of scary. This is a take 3 hand. Like, there is no question here. We have to take 3, which is unfortunate because we are putting ourselves in a bad spot for the Ghostly Touch. Although I don't know that the Ghostly Touch is, like, really going to ruin us at this point. Yeah, we get to pitch a Debilitate. And I get to pop with a Thunderquake. And then I get to kill the Chromai. Honestly, am I supposed to kill the Passing Mirage? I don't think so. Like, killing the Passing Mirage is important, but I think we need to kill the Chromai here. We're going to go up to 15 and down to 11. So we get to block 9 and then kill the Passing Mirage. Or do I need to block 6, take 10, go to 6, and then kill? I mean, the fact that like he's taking the cards out of my hand is really bad here. Like that's what kills me. So now we're going to kill the Passing Mirage because we have to. We chose to kill the Dromai last turn, which I still think was correct. We're now at a point where like we're down cards. We're not going to be able to run them out of cards. So I'm going to have to find a turn where I can actually just start attacking them and trying to take cards out of their hand. Let's block with the Disable. And then we're going to pop with the Spinal Crush after this. Yeah, he's well on the way to fatiguing me at this point in time. So we have the choice of going for killing the 2 mirror guys here and just continuing to like pitch and play the mirror guys, or I can attack him for 10. I think I have to attack him for 10. Like, I think that's where we're at in the game. We're in a bad spot. All right. Okay, so he gives me 3 cards there. Which, I mean, we need turns like that where we are winning cards to be able to do things. So let's block Trounce. And then we can tear Asunder Hammer. He played a Sand Cover until the end of turn. All right, so he played Sand Cover just to give go again, which means we are going to pop here. Which means now we're just going to throw... We're just going to throw the hammer at a mirror guy here. Yeah, we're just going to pitch the Tear Asunder because I think I have my 2 non-poppers coming up in this next hand here. We're not going to Arsenal this. I'm just going to keep the card in my hand. Okay, so I have 1 non-popper here. We're taking 3. I think this is a no blocks right here. Another Sand Cover. I mean, using your Sand Covers as like offense here is really interesting. I once saw a play where somebody actually used a reinforce the line to give their Blaze Headlong go again. It was a really cool line of play. So what if I am to block with Civic Steps and go to 1 and then throw Rouse Debilitate? Like, is there any world? Because, like, if I pitched Buckling Blow to play this and reveal these 2, I can go to 1 here and, like, try to put pressure on my opponent. I think, again, we're now in a spot where, like, we have to find an out. And there may not be one here, but we're definitely going to look for one. Like, we're going to push this the best that we can and do our very best to make sure that our opponent cannot play the Passing Mirage the way they want to. I put a card on the bottom of the deck, and then we're going to use Tunic, and we're going to throw Debilitate at our opponent. We need to take at least 2 cards out of our opponent's hand here. And then next turn, we can actually kill the mirror guy if we need to. Okay, so we did take 2 cards out of our opponent's hand. And then, I mean, I think we're pretty much just dead at this point to, like, anything, like, to them having the Passing Mirage, right? Like, so we block here. We're going to pop the next thing that they do. They're going to throw this at us, and then, yeah, I mean, as long as they're able to play cards, I think we're in a spot where we can't win here. Because of the mirror guy, like, because of how their second cycle lined up, they were able to play 2 Dromais after shuffling with Remembrance, like, when they didn't have a card that they had arsenaled, so, like, it wasn't that they had, like, set it up. They just, like, physically drew into it. I mean, if I mean, I just can't get out of this, right? Like, there's just no world where I'm able to clear the board here and have a chance. Like, even if I attack them for 8 here, we just have to kill the Thamai. So yeah, I don't think there's a way out of this here. Like, if we throw Cranial Crush at them, they have to block with some cards, but I don't think we can win the game. But if I hammer Thamai here, I am technically, like, giving myself an out to them playing incorrectly. I think. I don't know for sure. It's also worth noting we only loaded 60 cards into our opponent. Like, there was only ever 60 cards. They play the Passing Mirage. Oh, they don't have to pay to attack. Oh, yeah, they have to pay to attack. And then, yeah, because of the Passing Mirage, we're just going to block 10 and then die. Man, good game. Well played by our opponent. Our opponent played that very well. A little lucky with their draw there, but still, great play. Like, very clean play from Darkodius here. They enabled the chat. I'm curious what he has to say. This might have been some of the worst draws I've ever had in this matchup. You giving me Furnace on turn 0 told me it all, lol. So it is funny that like he sees it as some bad draws, and I agree on turn 0 he did, but he had some very fortunate draws when it mattered, being able to play back-to-back Chromais like that. The beginning of this game was pretty much exactly like the first one. It was me throwing attacks, trying to create some life lead separation, and my opponent just blocking efficiently and trying to set up a board that they could apply pressure with later in the game. There were a couple of turns early on for my opponent that I didn't really understand, so I'm just going to talk about them here and see what you guys think. The first one was the first time I attacked with a Command and Conquer. I attacked with a Command and Conquer representing Pummel, and my opponent didn't block at all. Now, there's only a couple of reasons for this in my opinion. Their hand is no blocks in some capacity, so they're actually not able to block out the Command and Conquer for 6, or they're saying, you know what, if you have the Pummel here, I'm just not going to block because I would rather discard 1 card and lose my arsenal than give up my arsenal and 3 cards from my hand here. The next play my opponent made that I didn't really understand was also on a Command and Conquer. I attacked with a Command and Conquer that I had in my arsenal for at least a turn or 2, and then I threw the Command and Conquer when I had a card in hand with Tunic up representing the Pummel. And they gave me 2 cards and just no respected the Pummel. I'm curious to know why they did this. Again, they could have just had no blocks in hand and they were like, you know what, I want to protect my arsenal and this is all I can do. Or they just had no respect for Pummel, which is an interesting decision. The turn after my opponent just blocked 6 on the Command and Conquer, they threw an E-Strike at me and said, draw a card. So right here, I had an option to block with my Balance of Justice, and I didn't do this. Now, later in the game, you'll notice that I actually cracked my Balance of Justice to draw a card because I didn't want to lose value on it, and so I was worried that I wouldn't be able to block with it. This was a mistake on my part, and I should have just blocked on the Balance of Justice the first opportunity I have to block an E-Strike or a Command and Conquer or a Nourishing Emptiness or anything like that. My opponent did a phenomenal job at turning the corner. When my opponent turned the corner, they turned the corner fast and hard. Now, They had a 3-turn sequence somewhere like towards the latter half of the game where they had a Caloria on board and they just kept putting Mirror Guys or Passing Mirages into play. So I kept having to block awkwardly on the Caloria and it made the game plan really hard to follow through with. There's probably some argument to actually just killing the Caloria at one point instead of trying to kill all the Mirror Guys that he continued to put on the board. After the game, my opponent and I were talking and he was telling me that he had some really awkward hands when the Command and Conquer came up and on turn 0 when he had to give me the Furnace. So it's interesting to me to think about that because I definitely believe my opponent had some awkward hands at the beginning of the game, but at the end of the game, my opponent had some really good hands. They had a hand second cycle after they had cast Remembrance, which means there was in no way pitch stack set up here. They played back-to-back Chromais in the same turn, and then the next turn played another Chromai where they were actually able to have 2 Chromais on back-to-back turns, which was insane value for them. I really tip my hat to my opponent here. His name was Darkodius. He does come by and hang out in the stream sometimes, and he's a super nice guy. But I really tip my hat to him because this is one of the hardest Dromai games I've ever played, and I wasn't able to close it out at the end of the game. Like, this was a really good example of how to play into Guardian as a Dromai player. So if you're an aspiring Dromai player, make sure you watch this match. Guys, if you all see anything I missed or something else that I should have talked about here, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear about it. If you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take it easy, guys.